You are now listening to N21FM, a Pokemon podcast. I'm your host, Glenn. I'm joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Johnny. And we are actually joined today by top 16 finisher at the Atlanta Regionals and Charlotte local, Preston Rutledge. Welcome to the show, buddy. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Glad to have you here. It's really exciting to have somebody from the Charlotte area show up and show out in a major way at Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Just had a good day, games of Buzz, so happy to play some Pokemon again. Took a week off,
Yeah, me too. I'm not at the point where I'm grinding super hard, so I took a solid week off after Atlanta and was like, I just need to chill for a second. So Preston, we've got quite an extensive list of questions we wanted to talk to you about. Because we want to not just get to know you as a competitive player, but also just as a person and player and enjoyer of the Pokemon IP. So I'm excited to get into that. I think we can start with something pretty easy. What kind of got you started with Pokemon as a franchise, as a game, TCG, video game, whatever, anything like that?
I believe when I first started it, I believe it was just when I was with my grandparents, and I think I had just seen some friends playing on 3DS back when it was popular, and I went to get some of the packs from Walmart. That's awesome. Kind of where I started collecting and playing a little bit later on, and I think it was around 2011.
Do you remember what set that was? That sounds like
it's
around
black and white.
Black and white. Okay, yeah. Very nice. Have you been playing ever since?
I first played around when I think Xerneas Break was the first deck I played. Awesome. So probably near the end of XY was when I started around playing.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Have you been playing pretty consistently ever since?
No, I played Xerneas Break so Steam Siege up until after that was Sun and Moon. So then I stopped around Celestial Storm, and then got back into it at Battle Styles, or got back into it around Sword and Shield, then stopped again at Battle Styles, then got back into it at Lost Origin.
Oh, interesting.
And that's where I am now.
Okay. Cool. So you came back for a crazy time.
Yeah.
That's probably really wild to go from like Steam Siege to like Lost Origin, Lugia, V-Star type era.
Oh yeah, it was interesting.
I believe it.
I'm glad I skipped the tag team era, so.
Oh yeah, we're all. I'm so glad that I didn't play the tag team era as well. That would have been. That would have been a nightmare. We're about to get 300 HP basics back too, which is a thing in the game, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting.
For sure.
Man.
So you've been competing for quite a while. You played a lot of decks, right?
Yeah, good amount.
Do you have like a favorite
of all time? I really like Duskmane Necrozma Magnezone. That was one of my favorites. I like that one. That was my go-to back then in Sun and Moon format.
Very nice.
Walk me through that, because I actually didn't play at that time. What
was
like
Duskmane Necrozma? Forget the exact damage, but it had 3 metal energies for its attack, and it did, I think, 250, and it couldn't attack next turn. Then the other attack did, I think the other attack did maybe just like 300, maybe. I think the GX attack did a lot of damage, I remember.
Yeah, it was Ultra Necrozma?
Duskmane Necrozma. Should be the steel type, the Solgaleo fusion.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at it right now.
And Magnezone was basically Baxcalibur for metal types. So you just...
Fire.
Yeah.
It was the GX, right? Where you had Claw Slash for 3 metal, or 3 colorless for 60, 3 metal and a colorless for 220, and you discard 3 energy, and then...
Okay. And then the other one's 250.
Yeah, 250 on the Sun's Eclipse GX for 3 metal.
Yeah.
And only if you had more prize cards remaining than your opponent. That's a strong card. What the heck? That seems like it would be good now.
Yeah.
Wild.
Probably would be.
It's so interesting to look back at like old formats, because I mean I definitely didn't play it all during the Sun and Moon era.
Yeah.
I got back into I started playing I think 2010-ish era. And then played for like a little bit because I was a child, and then quickly left the game because I did not just stick with it very well. and then came back just in time for like the Brilliant Stars to Astral Radiance era, and have been playing since then. So seeing like I remember the first deck I played on like PTCGO was like the ADP Zacian deck that they gave you for free.
Yeah,
which
that
was gross.
Especially for free.
It was terrible. But like
Bonkers,
seeing
dude.
all this other cool stuff from back in the day is also really exciting.
Yeah, definitely would have liked a shot to play some of this. You know,
Yeah.
it would have been so sick. Oh
we should
man,
do retro at some point. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
oh,
Find a store to
100%.
do retro. Okay. Do you have a favorite deck from this season? Other than obviously what we'll talk about in a little bit, the deck you played to Atlanta.
I really liked Ready Drago. It was just a strong deck. I liked Ready Drago. It just felt like you could do anything.
Mhm.
With rotation, when it happened, I mean, a lot of decks lost their constant draw power, and this format's a lot more skill intensive than before. For
For
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd say
Oh,
that.
man.
I'd say that it is probably a lot more skill intensive. It is a good indicator that you have a skill based format when you don't have a bunch of just tutoring every turn and getting whatever you want. And
It's
that was
just like you could tell because Ultra Ball doesn't just get you supporter anymore, or you don't just have a tool that guarantees you a card. It's just like you know that all these decks have, when the texts are what matters more, is when you know it's more skill intensive, because if you're going to be prepared, your texts are going to affect more of the gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of looking at it, actually. God, jeez. I guess with that then, I guess we can push on into the current season with all that, and kind of the current format. So I guess what kind of started you on this course towards what you played at Atlanta, and kind of how did that come about? How did you start working with Celio and kind of getting
So we started with Arch Trolley with like Toad School and Monkey and Calamus Wasteland, trying to make that work. So we kind of started with, and we ventured over to playing a bunch of black belts, trying to be able to hit high numbers. We just figured it wasn't working. The Toad School wasn't enough for Dango. Just felt too weak. So what we ended up doing was trying out Poison, because we saw Secret Box, but we didn't like Secret Box. Trolley just felt to be stronger because you guarantee setup once you find it.
Yeah.
And you could just kind of steamroll a lot of decks who aren't ready for you to set up your whole board and think you're going to find less Pokemon than you do.
For sure. I think it's important to recognize the value of Trolley now as a card, because in the past we had like Battle VIP Pass, right?
Yeah,
and to a lesser extent,
to set up.
To a lesser extent, we had like a lot of nest balls and
Yeah.
guys that could just go get you whatever you need.
Yeah.
You can Luminian for Arvin, for Forest Steel Zone, for whatever, get your two buddy Poffins, get your setup pieces, and then Rotom for 3 more cards so you can end the turn in the positive. Like,
yeah.
So it's interesting that like now that card sees so much more value, especially in a deck like Archaladon, where you've got the guys that can't be grabbed with your buddy Poffins. You don't play any of those even because you don't need to, obviously, in the deck you played to Atlanta. Now, what kind of led you to Archaladon just as an archetype? Was that just a meta call? Was that something you'd been discussing? Sorry, to back up a little bit. Was this something that you came to the conclusion of with a coach like Celio, or was it something like a local testing group? How did that archetype kind of get decided?
I did have I did talk with Celio. I bounced ideas back and forth with him, but we determined that we thought Terrabox and Dragapult were going to be S tiers. So our idea was that Arch should be favored into both of those. So we wanted to make something with Arch.
Makes good sense to me.
Honestly, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Like,
do you
you're
have
hitting those 220s and all, and kind of like, I mean, that's killing anything in Terra, and
they have to respond with Pikachu, which was the issues. We couldn't one shot it.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is so interesting that you play the poison package now, because that also puts you in a good spot to combat Pikachu, especially if they have to stick it in the active or something. I think this was obvious. Clearly, this was a very good meta call,
Yeah.
right? You
very,
performed
very strong meta
exceptionally
call.
well. I'm very interested to know if you were to go back and change anything about that particular deck, assuming you're not like playing this deck to Milwaukee. I don't want you to leak the sauce. But if you were to change anything about your list for Atlanta specifically, is there anything that you would change?
No, I think the Atlanta 60 was pretty perfect. The only thing maybe if you wanted to cut like Pow Pad for another boss, realistically would have been pretty good.
That makes
I
good
think
sense.
having more boss would have been pretty good.
For sure. Yeah, boss is a really strong card in that deck. It's important to be able to gust up stuff that you need to kill KO.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. I feel like we're shooting right through these two this time.
Yeah.
Oh man. I guess to kind of go with that then, and you mentioned, the stuff that you worked on and talked with Celio. How did I guess coming to work with Celio start? Was that like you just signed up for coaching, or was that like
I signed up for coaching, I believe it was sometime before Orlando last year, and then I've been kind of having a coaching session maybe once or twice a month, just kind of getting with the metagame. Well, we took a break from Orlando till the next season, which would start this season, which would have been awesome.
Yeah,
and then that's where I whiffed at Baltimore. Then I've day two'd every regional since then that I've been to, so it worked.
That's
gotcha.
Really,
yeah, absolutely.
Really cool. Would you recommend coaching to other people? A lot. There's a lot of
if
memes.
You, if you feel like you're struggling and you're not like really grasping the TCG, or you're not really improving, then yes, coaching can help you see the game in a different way that helps you understand it. You just have to find the right coach for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, you've been to a lot of regionals. Do you have a favorite regional that you've been to? One that you like was a standout experience to you?
I love San Antonio. It's always a lot of fun when I go down there. Been there a couple of times, so it's very fun. I like San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Do you have history with like San Antonio as like a location? Like, where are you from originally?
I am from just around this area, Claremont, Hickory.
Okay.
I was born here, so
very nice. I know some people have like a fondness for like their hometown when it comes to regionals.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Do you have a favorite or least favorite thing about the regional experience, just as a whole?
Not really, but the structure when they changed it the first time was a little bit weird. I didn't like the 7-2 record being day two, because some people can't always do that, but they just want to play more Pokemon in general.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like the asymmetrical cut situation right now, where we're taking one less round in day one? And
I think it's fine. I feel like they could add more rounds, but if they add more rounds, having to stay there to be so late is kind of weird, because now if you make top cut, you can still be out of there and be on a flight by 9, which is pretty good.
I'd say so. That makes good sense.
That's fair. Yeah.
But they'll probably make more changes next season. They'll probably adjust some more things.
Are you pro or against adding a lunch break?
I'd be fine with a lunch break. I could go either way. Okay. Either or, I'm fine.
Cool.
If you, I was going to say, like, piggybacking off of that, what would your, I guess, like, ideal setup then be for the way that the regionals are run? Like, what would you do for, like, would you have, like, a different start time, I guess? Would you want different round setups? Would you want maybe, like, double Elan or something like that?
I would be fine for a quicker setup earlier in the morning. I wouldn't mind getting there earlier, and then if we had to stay later, that would be fine.
That's awesome.
Okay, so we would definitely pack in some more rounds.
Yeah, sure. I'm so down for packing in another round or two.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I could totally get behind that, because I think like the biggest issue I think I've seen a lot of people say is just like you said, people want to play more Pokemon, and the best way to do that and also have like a good like day one and then still keep around the ASIM is, going for
around
a couple extra rounds. in day one and still having the time day two to have your ace in because you've packed in
Yeah.
the extra round or two.
Yeah, for sure. So we've talked a little bit about kind of deck selection and how that came about. What do you think of this current format and like the decks that are good in it, and what is going to be good going into the future, kind of before we get into recapping your experience at Atlanta?
I mean, the format feels really weird. It feels like no deck is like the deck. So playing something that you know how to pilot the best and being able to make the techs that you know are going to increase your odds in the matchups you're going to see are very strong. Like I see now, a lot of these decks are playing Genesect, the Dragapult decks, because they want to counter Dango, or maybe they just don't want to allow Unfair Snap or anything else to come down.
Yeah.
But the format as itself, I know Dragapult's strong, but Guardy does have a very good matchup into Dragapult. So it's a little bit, it's kind of just like deck A beats deck B beats deck C, and then just a little triangle.
Yeah.
I don't love the format just because of how one-sided it feels for two different decks to be BDIFs, but
yeah, I'd say so. More on that, I think I think it's really valuable that to get that kind of insight from obviously like a high level player like yourself, because you see a lot more of like the trenches of like looking at your record here. You played against people who had really good records. You played against people who were like, you had a game against Fabrizio Inga Silva. Like these are people who are good at the game clearly, and so you get an experience that's a little different from like the less experienced players, right? You have more of that.
Yeah.
And so your assessment is much more top down of the format. And I think that's really, really valuable. With that said, like what would you change about the format specifically? Do you have anything you would add or subtract from the format? Is there anything that you would address from a perspective of like how the game is designed? I know I've talked at length on this show before about Pokemon doing this weird like print something really broken and then print something later on to specifically counter it. Stuff like Jirachi, like
Psyduck's coming out.
Yeah, like Psyduck specifically. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think they just print the cards and then they're trying to print counterplay later on for them to see. Like once they realize the card's actually good, they just print the counterplay later on, and they kind of just want to make interesting formats that maybe do have a S tier deck that really is hard to counter, and then see if how the deck building changes. I feel like it's kind of what they want to see happen.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think the biggest issue with that a lot of the time, and I don't know if you feel this way or not, but it's that like I don't know. I don't think it works. You know?
Yeah.
They print, you know, something like you said, something really good, and then they want to see the counterplay. So we get Spiritomb to try to beat Mew VMAX, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
They've already done Drapion, and Drapion didn't work. You know.
And even now, seeing stuff like Lily's Clefairy EX for Dragapult, and that's clearly not doing anything.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do with that is get like the Bravery Charm Mew play if you're playing Gardevoir, but like you know, that's a tall order even for that deck. It's not happening every single time. So
no.
Yeah, kind of a weird thing to do that. In my opinion.
Yeah. With that said, I'd kind of like to move on to your experience at Atlanta specifically. You went 10-2-1, got 15th place, a really impressive showing. You had a great record, and just I'm looking at your matchups, and I am a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. If I had these matchups, I think I would have had a way better record. Would have had a lot more fun. Instead I was playing up against like Eevee Box and like another Terra Box. If I had seen this many Dragapults, I would have been eating a lot better. But I am very interested to see what there's a couple of games I want to highlight here, right?
Okay.
So you played, first of all, your first 3 rounds being up against Dragapult Dusknoir
Yep.
probably was like really good for you, right?
Yeah.
Just being able to
Definitely.
start off strong.
Yeah, definitely matchup I knew the lines around and knew how to beat it.
That's good. That's good. Is the Dango Pult matchup any different for your lines with that
The
deck?
Polt just doesn't really add anything to that matchup. All it does is give them maybe extra draw power from the Dracloaks, but
Mm-hmm.
the Dragapult they can't set up any weird plays where they have a damage on something that actually matters for them to take multiple prizes with Polt because they have no Dusknoir. So it doesn't really affect it, but Dango is just Badoo until they set up and force them to take a prize. If they don't, take a knockout of poison and then start swinging with Dura.
Gotcha. Yeah, do you find that Archelodon struggles at all with like kind of the Badoo wars? Or like getting item locked in general?
If you get unfair stamp item locked, yes, that's why the poison is very strong into the Dragapult because they can't unfair stamp you and you're just not allowing them to have Fez either. So taking knockouts with damage against decks with unfair stamp or something that they can disrupt quickly with Badoo, then yes, it will be not the greatest. But generally, if you can play around with poison, that's what made it so good.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, that
interesting.
That makes sense. I mean, that's like that seemed like such a good concept. I'll be honest, I was like kind of off the poison package as well. Very much like it's definitely not real, and I think part of the reason for that was like it just felt so, I don't know, maybe to me it just seemed like too many moving parts. How was that kind of navigating that?
I feel like this deck definitely, it's not like going to work every time. It's kind of like Lugia. You just have to know that you're going to break every 1 out of 5 games. It's gonna happen. But you play the deck most consistently and play to all your outs you can. It's going to work and it's going to smooth itself out. But just playing with Arvin finding 2 pieces every turn that you need, like Countercatcher, Mochi, Vessel, bonnet, or not a vessel, capsule, just whatever 2 pieces you find, and you have research to refill to a new hand. You have boss, Iono to stall them out late game, Turo, get liabilities off the board, recover Duras. Just it flowed really well.
That's good.
Yeah, for sure. I guess then to highlight that, how was that like Tank Terrapagos matchup? Because that seems like, to me at least, that seems like it might be like a tougher one. You're having to like really reach through like a big number.
It's more of just you need to be able to get around the Terrapagos turn after turn, which is bundle, boss, Countercatcher. But if they don't get a charm on the Terrapagos with the Bouffalant, then you can still one-shot it through poison.
Gotcha.
I forget about that math.
If they get charmed, then they can. It's just, and the build I played, they didn't play double monkey, and so that means they can't one-shot an arch after I smack them. So that was the big hindrance.
For sure.
I'm looking a little. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, that's just kind of cool to have like the deck also like that. Like, I think the biggest thing I ran into that, because we were both on Terrabox, you know, and the biggest issue we had into like that matchup, at least like I faced it like round 1, it was like I couldn't get past with the Bouffalants or the Terrapagos. You know, I'd Countercatcher a Bouffalant, and my opponent's got Nest Ball or the other one just ready in hand.
You can't Water Pawn either because you'll be 10 short.
Brutal.
Yeah, it felt so rough to like get past that. Like it was such an uphill battle, and just seeing like another deck have like such an easy time again, I'm jealous.
Yeah. Moving kind of swiftly on, you had 2 losses, both to Dragapult Dusknoir. What made those builds different? We talked briefly in the pre-show about your matchup against Fabrizio, but for the folks at home,
the crystal made him be able to chain attacks a lot easier. Which what we can do is kind of deny them a second attack after we KO the Dragapult and buy a turn. But since he had crystal, it was really easy for him to just set up multiple.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I was a big hater of Unfair Stamp for a while prior to modern Dragapult coming out. Like, I still think it's very good. Unfair Stamp is a really great card, but I think it's you can't it's hard to overstate the value of Crystal in Dragapult as a deck, and I think that's kind of what makes the difference. Clearly, like Fabrizio also did very well and was able to get that win against you. What about Paulo de la Cruz? What was that matchup like? What made that difference there?
I went first game 1, and I got Badu locked out of the game. Game 2, I went second. It worked like I wanted it to. And game 3, it came down really close. I promoted the wrong Dura off of the last. I needed to promote a Dura and smack his Dragapult, and then I had boss for game. But I promoted the one with 6 damage counter instead of 4, so he was able to attach Blood Moon. So that was so the 20 damage. Yeah,
it came up. Okay, yeah, that makes good sense.
Yeah.
Terrabox, you said, is a pretty standard match. You'd have a really good matchup in a Terrabox anyways.
Yeah,
like that's just
Terrabox. Yeah, I actually lost game 1 because I went second, and then I went Relicanth, Attach, Iono, and found nothing.
Oh no!
I blew it up with Pikachu.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
And then a matchup I'm really interested in is this Joe Figliano tie, right? Playing up against Zen and Zoroark. What made that build different? Because I've seen a lot of Zoroark as a deck.
We actually didn't play. Good. We were both so drained, we just offered ID, and then...
All right. Yeah, fair enough then.
Get into day 2.
Okay.
We talked to each other about our lists, and then we were like, after that, we just shook hands and went up to the table and went home.
That's awesome.
Understandable.
That makes so much sense. I was so tired after... I didn't even play the full day, but I was tired after the rounds I played. I was like...
I didn't think I would be that tired. Usually I'm not, but that day I was, so...
Yeah.
I really wanted to take a look at this one, too, because, like, Joe's
the
first...
The matchup feels pretty even, I feel like. I feel like it's just kind of a game of chicken. They have Reshiram with essentially the same kind of thing that Relicanth provides us, and we have Relicanth. So it's kind of a game of chicken who wants to punch first.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just interesting, too. Joe had, was the first in list that I saw also that had the Sigilif in it.
Yo, we were big on the Sigilif for a while. What the heck?
I think it could be real still. I think
it's
that's
cute, sure.
I mean, it's a way to get past something that you can't KO without it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting.
It does work.
It's cool to see the end deck show up because I wanted that deck to be good so bad, and it clearly did not show up.
Yeah, there was 5 of them.
So sad. All right.
But how was it? So I guess overall then, the day 1 to day 2 experience, that kind of refreshing, that evening. Did you spend time just relaxing, or were you
we ordered pizza, wings, and fries, and then went to sleep.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds ideal. I
super
most nights.
Yeah, I just know some people definitely want to spend that time and are I'm gonna go out and
my same 60. If you look under my 60, who ran the same 60, he was drinking until 5:30.
Nice.
Wow. 5:30. That is.
Yep.
We took different paths that day.
Dude, I could not. I can't even be up that late. I don't know.
He showed up and sat at the table and slept between rounds.
That's probably why he looked terrible the next day. I remember seeing him later on, and he was roughing it. By the way, we are talking about because clearly, if you look at Preston's Limitless page, you'll be able to see this was played by a friend of the show, Shane McManus.
Yep, Shane.
Dude, I remember seeing his message in the Discord. He was like, "I don't know if I'm going to make it to day 2 tomorrow." At a really ungodly hour of the night. I was like, "What the heck? What is he doing right now?"
Yeah,
that's what he was doing.
That is outstanding. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's
always. You know what?
Yeah,
more power to him, man. More power to him.
I couldn't be up that late sober and come to day 2 the next day at that hour. It just wouldn't happen. I'd be too tired.
I'm on the wrong side of 20 to stay up that late these days, so I feel that, man.
Yeah, brutal. What do you have? So you've got a lot of regional experience. Do you have a post day 1 routine that you normally do? Is it just a dinner, go to bed type deal, or do you have
just dinner, try to go to bed at a good time. It's just generally it's really hard to go to sleep. It's not what you're used to. You're up late. You got to get food late, so your body's gonna, not go to sleep right away after you get food right then. Well, I mean, some people can, but I usually have to stay up for an hour, so I usually get to bed around 11 if we get out at a good time.
Okay.
So, and then I got to get up. I want to get up around 6:30 ish, or probably 7. It depends on what time day 2 starts. Day two started, I think, the same time every time I've had day 2. I think it's always been 8:30, except for EUIC. EUIC may have been 8, so it's a pretty standard time to get up at.
Yeah, and I feel like most people are pretty accustomed to being up. At least if you have like a 9 to 5, you're probably pretty accustomed to that. And you're a night shift guy though, right?
Yes. So it's a little bit different for me, but I try to get up at like 7:30 after I get off, go to bed, get home at 12, sleeps 12 to 7:30. That way, 7.5 hours is pretty good sleep. Get up, go to the gym, try to start my day early. Just do a little something. At least get up and do something.
No, that totally makes sense. I'm a big proponent of early mornings. My wife hates it. Because I'm like this morning, it was like I found myself, we were gonna go out for breakfast together, and I found myself like I'm a morning guy. I get up at like 5:45 for my job because I have like a really long commute into Charlotte, and then but this morning I was up at like not even 7 a.m. and I was like waiting for my alarm to count down to wake her up so we could go. And so she's like, "What if we slept until 8:30?" And I'm like, "Oh God,
no."
It's rough. I'm a big early morning person.
Oh yeah, I feel you.
That's really funny. So moving into kind of your day 2 experience, right?
Yep.
I'm kind of looking at. I'm trying to shift between tabs. I'm sorry. I see that this is what is this? This is your highest placement. How many day 2s have you had this season?
Should be 4. This was the fourth in a row, which is pretty cool.
Sheesh. Yeah, that's really good.
4 in a row too.
That was back in October, January, February, and now April, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So with all very different decks too. It's interesting that you compared this to Lugia because that's the most recent deck you played.
Yeah, unlike Shane's Limitless, just Lugia.
That guy loves Lugia. He's addicted to it. He always was.
Thanks to me, I got him off of it for this. Even though he couldn't play it even if he wanted to.
True. He would try. We're going to get Shane into GLCs just so he can use Archeops again.
Ooh, true. You could do Crazy Code as well.
Yeah, true. Very different deck lists. I'm looking at all your day 2s here. I'm just is your experience normally the same with all those? Obviously this is your deepest
run.
What
I found does well is that, I mean, maybe it's just me, I tend to not want to play the same deck for multiple regionals. For multiple cups I've found success in it, but for the regionals I always feel like I want to play a different deck, not just because I want to, but just because I feel like I play that deck for that specific meta, and then after that meta, I feel like it's just better to switch. Which I'm not sure if I feel that way for Milwaukee, but maybe.
Yeah. No, that makes good sense because you play a deck for like a reason, right? Like I think back to Charlotte Regionals 2 years ago when the deck that won was like Eternatus VMAX, right? Like, obviously that was not the best deck in the format at the time, and there were even people playing like Frostmoth Box at the time.
Yeah.
That was obviously not the best deck in format, but it was the correct play. And so there's definitely value in switching decks for metas, being able to surprise somebody with a certain deck list or tech card. So with that said, kind of talking more about day 2, what's your mindset going into day 2 at regionals? Like, you've done this a couple times now. Do you have a plan that you like that is consistently working for you? Do you have something different you do?
It doesn't matter who's sitting across from you. Like, even if it's Ian Robb or someone that's a well-known player, you don't want to think of it as this is Ian Robb, I'm gonna lose. Just think of it as it's just another person. It doesn't. You're just gonna play the same way. It doesn't matter the matchup. Just play as if. I mean, they're gonna make the best play regardless. You should be thinking that they're gonna make whatever the best play is, regardless of the scenario. More often than not. Mm-hmm. So just think of it as a regular player and know that you just think you're the more prepared player.
Interesting.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
I haven't heard it put that way before. That makes a lot of sense, though. I had that experience playing against like Grant Manley and Raleigh a couple weeks ago, where I still lost, right? But like I was able to at least play a good game of back and forth Pokemon with him, because like it is kind of that mindset. Like it is at the end of the day, like
true,
if your opponent is a good player, they're going to be making the optimal play every turn anyhow, regardless of whether or not they have a limitless page.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think like that's a great way to look at it, because the limitless page, I mean, the limitless page is just like it's their experience with it. Like obviously, like it means they're a good player, but you have to think like I'm good too, and you have to hold that. Like I think like that mental is like half the battle right there,
Certainly.
But yeah, I guess like just rounding it out, we'll just cut right in. How was it? Because now we're going into with day 2 stuff.
Yep.
Your day 2 is wildly different from day 1. There's no Dragapults at all.
Yeah.
Zero drag.
How was that Guardy matchup?
I think that was a weird matchup. They went game 1. I think I missed getting the poison knockout to get an extra prize, and then I kind of lost the prize trade from there. Game 2, they went first because I chose second, and they went Drifloon Pass, so I just Dura Moshi'd it.
Oh yeah, easy.
Then game 3, they also chose to go first again, which was weird, considering I don't think I actually showed them. No, I definitely showed them Trolley, so they chose to go first, even though they knew I was playing Trolley, which is a little weird. They got us. Maybe their build may have been meant to go first. Maybe that was what they tested.
Maybe so.
And so then they no, because they chose to go second game 1, so I don't know why they chose to go first. I was very confused, but then I was able to set up my game plan and just win. So maybe just a slight overlook on their part. Maybe they forgot and thought I was playing Secret Box and then realized it too late.
Yeah, possible.
Mm-hmm.
Did you before we kind of get into your next game, did you have anything particularly weird in day 2 that you wanted to talk about overall?
No, I don't think so. Nothing. It's pretty average day 2. Just a lot of people. I actually recognize a lot of people that I see sit next to Calvin Connor, Blake Ray, Grant Manley, a couple of those names a couple of times. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you're getting up there. Like you're gonna start being sat next to those big names more frequently. It's
pretty cool.
It's cool to see that. My round 1, I was like next to the person who was across from. Oh gosh, what's his name? He's Australian. He played Gardevoir.
Brent?
Yeah, Brent Tonneson. And it was weird because I was like, "Who is that? This is clearly like a reputable person." I think I mentioned this on the podcast last week, but like, I was like, "Who is this person?" And it wasn't until like the match lists got passed out that I was looking at it. I was like, "Oh, that's Brent Tonneson. That's what he looks like." That's a funny experience though. You're getting up there though. It's cool that your name is. How does it feel knowing that like at some point you're probably gonna now have that experience of somebody being like, oh my god, you're
that's very cool. Know me as the one who wears the Bidoof hat. Actually, Blake Ray always comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, you're here again." Blake Ray. Me and him talk a lot now at regionals when we see each other. Me and him since Louisville, we've kind of been talking because I keep seeing him near me at tables. So pretty cool to have a top player kind of have that relationship with.
That's really cool. I can't even lie. I definitely originally knew you as Bidoof hat guy.
Yeah,
like
it's easy to find
before.
me.
Yeah.
Day 1, I'm always wearing the same pink hoodie, blue pants, Bidoof hat. So it's easy to find me day 1. My hoodie changes day 2, but I always wear the pink one. That's my lucky one.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
I love that you have like a lucky outfit. That's so sick. Ah, man. Are you bummed at all that you didn't get to go on stream?
No, because the round that I was in one of the matches to get chose was my first loss, which was Fabrizio, where I lost.
Yeah.
I was one of the 4 choices up there, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so sick.
Do you know how they decide that? That'd be an interesting behind the scenes.
I think it's the Twitch chat. They do the 4 choices.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Huh. Either that or Chip decides. One of the 2, I think.
Dang. What the heck, Chip?
Chip. We gotta get some influence
we have to start
in there for your Milwaukee regional then.
Yeah. We gotta get you up on stage. I think it'll be excellent. Because
That'd be pretty
also, I
weird.
can't
Holy
imagine that
shit.
Charlotte is the only area that knows you as Bidoof Hat Guy.
No, yeah.
I'm sure that somebody else does. Like, clearly,
Oh,
you
yeah.
said that Blake, like, somebody else knows. There's got to be countless people who know you.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty
That's
cool.
really interesting.
Having that recognizable aura to go with it, I think, is great because, like, like, especially, I think that'll be an interesting experience. I feel because you're gonna, I no doubt, you're gonna have other people like coming up, more and more.
Yeah, that's really cool.
As you get more and more of those top finishes, and people will be like, "Oh yeah, of course, it's Preston, the
Yeah.
new fat guy, pink hoodie guy."
So sick.
Oh, yeah.
Blue pants, pink
really
hoodie,
cool.
Bidoof hat. We gotta get one of those like never mind. Those like steal his fit type memes with like the $1 trillion pink hoodie and then the Bidoof
Oh my
hat.
god,
That'd be so good. So kind of rounding out day 2, your second game in day 2 was up against a Raging Bolt. How does that matchup feel? I don't know a whole lot about
Capsule,
the poison patch.
it feels all right. When they play Capsule, it's kind of, you can't poison the Bolt, so you have to find
Right.
boss. It's kind of weird. But
Yeah.
the matchup's basically you want a Badoo, and then you just don't want them to have boss, essentially.
Yeah, makes good sense.
Because if they don't attach to Bolt turn 1, they can't boss. Or they can't boss and take a 2-prizer. So that's what you kind of want to hope for. Because if they do, then they can go Knock Towel, find the knockout. But if they also can't play Vessel if you're item locking them, so it's not horrible.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty hard with capsules. But this guy played no capsule. And one Fanrotom, I saw his list after the event. He messaged me.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, he played one Fanrotom. So
Interesting.
that was why he missed Fanrotom both games I won.
What do you think of the Noctowl engine as a whole? I don't mean to like kind of like hijack.
What
do you think?
I like it. I don't like it now without a Pidgeot in it. I think it was only good with Pidgeot because no Pidgeot doesn't make sense to me. Because that's, you set up Pidgeot, then you have Noctowl every turn essentially.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's true.
Because
Yeah.
that was the first build I played, which made
Yeah.
sense. But we
Yeah,
don't
you
have
played
Featherball
those
now,
Rakdos.
so it's harder to set that up.
Mhm.
I'm curious then, what do you think about, I want to find it real quick just because.
The 9th place list.
Yes, the 9th place list
Mhm.
with the Cyrano to get that
That
Pidgeot.
list, I'll be honest, it felt like Booty Cheeks. I played it a little bit. It
Really?
felt
Okay.
there was too much going on. It felt very awkward, and it felt like if Dangos are popularly playing Rigid Band, it feels like you just lose because
Wait,
your
you mean
line
the-
is
Go ahead.
the Volcanion 20 and then 240.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
they play Rigid Band, you can't hit 240. You hit 210, and you'll be
Gotcha.
short.
Ooh.
So what you're telling me is the deck that's including a 1 of Volcanion EX in the year of our Lord 2025 has too much going on? That
A
seems
little bit.
outlandish. That seems outlandish to me.
But
I
it
can't
was a
believe
cool
that.
concept. I do like the Pidgeot concept. It did feel pretty good when you got that out. It
Yeah.
makes sense. I understand why they do it. It does make sense. A build I like more is the 16th place list with the trolley. I think that list is very, very cool with Area Zero.
Okay.
The Genesect is very,
Yeah.
very niche.
Dude, Genesect
I
is
like
so good. I love Genesect as a card.
Look at this one.
It's so good. What's interesting about and
It's
the
a cool way
3
to play it,
bravery
too.
charm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool. Pretty
Yeah, I think
simple, straightforward list too. I like that.
Oh yeah.
I think the 3 charm is like way better in there too. Like 3 charm, like
Yeah.
I've been messing around with the Volcanion one, that 9th place list, and 1 charm in there feels so bad.
Yeah.
Like it feels
Yeah.
horrible to like have the 1 charm and you either end up having to like ditch it early with
Yeah.
like a research because you just need to get to like a better hand, or you attach it to like a Terrapagos that eventually goes down, and then you're like, well, I don't have like a way to charm a Blood Moon and
Yeah.
like just massacre something.
Yeah, there's no tool
Okay,
recursion.
yeah. 100%.
God. But this one doesn't even play Blood Moon. That's crazy. Okay.
Wild.
Yeah,
What an
yeah.
insane deck list.
Huh.
How strange. Were you expecting a lot of wall decks? Sorry, this is
No.
kind of like veering off from the day 2 discussion.
No,
but
that deck felt very fake. After that was what me and my not Shane, but my other testing partner wanted to play, but I kind of talked him off of it and just told him this deck's too inconsistent, and then decks are gonna have answers to it. It just feels bad.
yeah, No, for sure.
And then there was more gouging fires at day 2 than walls. So if that said anything.
True. Yeah, that is the truth. Which is so. There was a lot of weird stuff in day 2.
Yeah.
I'm always blown away by the stuff that makes it in, like that. What is that Hot Wheels ass like?
Oh, the
Greninja Blaziken deck at 92nd. Ben Hayes playing that. What do you think of that deck? Because
Which one was it?
The 92nd place Ben Hayes on Greninja Blaziken.
Oh, the thing that apparently I've only lost to on live.
Yeah, because it's not
played
real.
that twice. I've played it twice, but both times I've priced Charlie, so I haven't had a real game against it. But that deck is interesting. It's kind of like a Tord box essentially. Like maybe if you want to talk about just playing a bunch of different attackers, you can play a weird one of that deck and power it up anyway. Just discard the energy, Blaziken it up.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
it's just silly to see stuff like that. Like the fact that there's as much Greninja Blaziken as Wall in day 2.
Yeah,
is so crazy to me.
There were more Espathra.
Oh yeah, Espathra is crazy.
That was a deck.
Give me one moment. Let's see if I can find a charger. I think I've got like 12% left.
Sure, go for it. We'll kind of discuss amongst ourselves if there was anything that we were looking at as well before we move on.
I was going to say, in the meantime, that's a fantastic place to go like, comment, subscribe.
Oh yeah, this is a great
on
time.
YouTube, because we didn't do that at the beginning.
We didn't do the call to action at all.
Go like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, please like, comment, subscribe.
Creative on YouTube.
And also on patreon.com/Terminal Creative. If you want to get early access to every episode of this, as well as access to our bonus show, which we will be doing at the end of this. Johnny and I do a bonus show where we talk about more personal stuff.
All right. So the one I'm at actually has none. But we should have about 15, 20 minutes.
Cool. We'll just have to wrap it up a little early then, and that will be a-okay.
I think my computer's just slowly dying because I charged it 100%, put it in my bag in case I had to go somewhere, and when I opened it, it was at 54, and I don't know why.
That sucks.
Probably gonna get a new battery soon. So,
well, then what we'll do, we'll go over your last 2 games kind of quick. Then and we'll get some last words from you. Yeah, and we'll wrap everything up. What was this game?
We still got we should get a good hour, so this should be pretty good.
Absolutely. What was this game like with against Golden Go? What's that matchup like for you?
I really want to talk about that one. There was something kind of funny. Well, maybe not so funny if my opponent wanted to be a stickler about it. So we'll get to that. Yeah. So the last 2 rounds felt awesome. Win-win. So I mean, I was feeling awesome. I was just like, I didn't have to stress at all. I won both. So the matchup went pretty favored my way. They did nothing. They actually put a lucky helmet on their Gimme Gold turn 1. And then we're hoping I killed it. So I petched it, and then they got nothing. And then they just kept passing, and I kept poisoning. So then,
oh, my gosh.
So then they said, okay, yeah, we'll go next game. So they went to next game. Let's say we did back and forth, whatever. But I only got to take like 1 prize. It was like an early petch kill.
Yeah.
And they got down to 2 prizes. So I was able to make the comeback because I had 3 damage on a Dango or one of their Dangos at some point. And they monkeyed it away, which allowed me to be able to Blood Moon poison without activating their Fez because they moved the damage, trying to make them need 1 less energy.
Yeah.
Which I guess was it incorrect? I don't know. I don't play Dango like that, so maybe it was correct to find less energy. But so I was able to do that. But the reason I couldn't kill the Fez, they put a lucky helmet on it, which was annoying. They put lucky helmet on their Fez. So
I told you, Dango players are addicted to drawing cards.
I know. And then, so I eventually took another prize, and then I was down to 1 prize. They were down to 2 because I was able to make an Iono Badoo comeback to kind of set up my board. And they went to, what did they do? They, so I had Blood Moon the active, and they whiffed knockout because they got no Fez. They only got to draw like 3 cards.
Yeah.
Then, so I went Blood Moon KO. I had to retreat into my 1 prize Dura because they still needed 2 to take the game.
Yeah.
And then what they did, they superior energy retrieval, right? It started their turn. And after they did, they grabbed their energies, put it in their hand. I cut their deck. They had not gone in the deck.
Oh, no.
I was thinking they had wrestled, but thankfully I still had the halves separate, so it was
Okay.
just stacked on
Okay.
top of it, so we were able to just put it back.
Yeah.
He was like, "Why'd you cut the deck?" I said, "Oh, no reason. We'll put it back."
It's been a long day. That's why.
He was like, "All right, I'm gonna trust you." I'm like, "We're fine. We saved."
Oh my gosh.
I appreciated him a lot for that.
The heart attack I bet you had.
Oh yeah,
That's always scary.
but
Oh,
then
God.
he didn't hit the knockout. Then we came back and just Blood Moon for game.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
And then finally, I guess kind of like the perfect cap on all of it, your last win was up against another Archaladon deck. Were they playing the poison package as well or no?
They were playing the build I originally wanted to play, minus the trolley. They were playing minus the double. I didn't want to play double. They played double Toad Scroll Arch, and then I think they're just Fez and Squawk. Oh, and a one Zacian to counter Cornerstone.
Interesting.
Yeah. This actually makes sense. I actually really like the Toad Scroll in there just because, like, that's
that's what we started with. We liked the Toad Scroll, but it just didn't feel like enough. But apparently, she did well enough with it. So she actually lost on stream round 13 or 12 before she played me. She was the one who lost on stream. If you watch the stream, she was the one who lost to the I forget what deck it was.
I gotta go rewatch that. I've think I've been through it all, but
Bodie Robinson on Golden Go.
Yep, that was my See, because that's what I felt like. See, you don't really stop the Dango with the Toad Scroll, which is not enough.
Oof. Yeah,
for sure. Interesting. Okay, so that's kind of your whole recap of
it was
day
awesome.
2. Yeah, thoughts on the event overall, like how it was run?
I think Atlanta went really well. I think the tournament, the way that it's organized, is fine. I think there's room for improvement, of course, always, but I think they're making it a lot better for a larger audience. I think they need to make some modifications. I think Jake Gearhart actually does have some good takes on what they should do. Like, he's made the little that tournament structure that he made, that he changed it. I think that was very well thought out. Now, I don't think they'll do it, but I think it's a very smart idea.
For sure.
He does rarely have good takes. There are sometimes good
every
takes.
now and then a diamond in the rough, for sure. Awesome. I kind of want to, for the sake of Riverside needing to have your computer alive so that you can upload the footage afterwards, I kind of want to wrap it up there. Do you have any social media?
I can tell you when I'm down to a low percent. We still got 8%. We're still fine.
8%. We're still chilling. Okay. Cool.
I'll let you know when it's at 2, because then that'll be like 3 minutes.
Okay. Awesome. In that case, you didn't do any like side stuff afterwards, right? You kind of like you wrapped it up.
No, my friend Kyle though did. He farmed some side events, got like a booster box and a half from winning like 4 pods.
That's
so that was pretty cool.
I like that a lot. Awesome. Johnny, did you have anything else you wanted to ask? We've kind of exhausted our list of questions. We talked about Atlanta.
I was just gonna say,
you want to know?
Was there any like special celebration, or did you guys just pack up, head back to Charlotte that night?
We took some pictures with everyone. We kind of just headed back to Charlotte. Me and my girlfriend rode back together. Everyone kind of just headed back that night. Everyone flew back if they were from somewhere else. Nothing too crazy, but me and my girlfriend went out to dinner when we got back to her house, because her house is actually in Cullowhee, so it's actually a halfway point. So we didn't have to drive the full 4 hours. So it was nice.
That's good. That's very good.
Yeah. It's not too bad.
That's awesome, dude. I'm glad to hear that you had kind of a nice chill celebration.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything you would have done differently in Atlanta, or do you think you were kind of firing on all cylinders?
I think I played fairly well, besides some misplays, but maybe the misplays I might not have gotten to where I was. So pretty happy with it. I think going forward in the format, I do think I'm considering playing, like, my picks for Milwaukee right now. If I want to fall back on something, I have Arch. I think Arch is still a strong play. I feel like your Guardy matchup's a little bit iffy, though. I think Guardy is a very shaky matchup for this deck. So I'm between Guardy and Terra.
Interesting.
Now, I would like to take this opportunity to put you on to a tech
for
TerraBox.
All right.
There has been conversation specifically from Zach Terrio in our group
Okay.
about are you on the Cornerstone at all?
Yes, I've been messing with the third place list from Monterey.
Gotcha.
That's the list I was running. So the Cornerstone, I like Cornerstone. I think you don't need it. I think it's cool.
Got you. So the suggestion that the sauce that we were given by Zach is the Flamigo from Paradox Rift. It is a single prize 110 attacker that is fighting that can, for a fighting in a colorless, it does 20 plus 20 for each of your opponent's bench. And it really swings like like anything with like Terapagos in it, and is just a really good fighting attacker. You just don't get the shred from it. So something to consider for sure.
It definitely has
definitely
like
interesting.
Yeah, its capacity to answer like some of the stuff that like Cornerstone answers already, but it also handles that Terapagos, kind of well.
Yeah, I think it's a I mean, I feel like it can do what it does in theory, do what Cornerstone can do, but I feel like it's just a little bit flimsy. Is the only issue
for sure.
Kind of like the Hofspramer, it's just flimsy.
Yeah, just something to think about is all. I wanted to leave you with that so that just in case, on the off chance that anything else does get decided with that. Do you have any kind of like last words of advice to anybody looking to make a really deep run like you did, or to like get improved overall at the TCG, anything like that?
I mean, coaching is definitely very helpful. If you don't understand the concepts of the game, a coach is definitely going to be able to help you. Or, I mean, even just if you don't think you need coaching, but you understand the game well, you just need to practice your deck on live and make notes of certain things. Just note why you lost this matchup or why this matchup could be better. Maybe try out the tech card instead of just maybe trying the same deck over and over and losing to something. Try a different route, or just like cut 4 different cards that you don't need to have, but you want them, and just put in tech cards. Try that.
Cool.
Then see, okay, how often do I use these cards, and do I like this one more than this, or whatnot? It can always help you just see things in a different way.
Gotcha. That's really good advice. I like that a lot. Is there anything else that Johnny, that you wanted to talk about before we start wrapping things up?
No, I think we kind of covered it. This was a lot of questions, a lot of rapid fire.
Yeah.
But I really liked it. This was a fun way to handle this.
This is fun being on a podcast. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you again for coming out. Do you have any social media that we can like plug in the description of the video?
Yeah. Let me see. We can just do my Twitter. It'll be simple.
Yeah. Sure.
Probably the easiest.
And what is that Twitter?
Should be at BAM. Or at BAM_gaming6.
Cool. I will make sure to put that in the description as well, for the YouTube and the Spotify. And I'll link that for you there. Be sure also, everybody, to check out Preston's class with Celio's network on.
Yeah, it's still available for purchase. The VOD is available. It was what we did right before this.
Yeah, absolutely. Go check that out. I know that it's going to be good value for you. You want to get that expert level play of this deck, and it's a great deck, and it's probably worth playing in the future too.
Oh yeah.
With that said, we'll say it again. Be sure to check out, just like, comment, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Patreon if you want to get early access to every episode and access to the bonus show. And I think we'll call it there, folks. Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you, Preston, for coming on.
For having me.
Yeah, of course. See you, man. Peace out.